squad, I'm gonna get mine. Go do the crime, if you can't do the time, don't tell me how you're off and down. When you smile in my face, but you play me like a clown, it's your fool, bitch. So just step back. I'm mad that when I come down straight, I thought you were my piece, but you play me out. Now I'm mad as hell, and I'm full of doubt. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's roll. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's roll. I'm back on the scene, it's time to get mean. I'm a lean revolution machine. For what people stay, they sway. For today is good as any day. Y'all feel slightly this, let's resist. Raise your fist and pump like this. Promises over the top. Don't cross the line, but you know it's right. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's go. Who you wanna roll with? Who you wanna roll with? Lefty, let's go.
There, I like that. You can't hear me do it.
Was that a sneeze?
I nail it every time at the end. Was that what?
Was that a sneeze?
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah, I recognize that switched over into a whole different thing you just did. I think it's on purpose.
You want to roll with? Achoo!
Well, it sounds like that maybe, I tell you though, the other day, I heard a guy, a newscaster,
sneeze,
saying something and enunciating perfectly until he got to a thought where he wanted to say, did you ever, and I forget what came next, but he went, did you, and I'm like, did you? Is he talking about a Jew? I mean, when he paused, because it really sounded like that. And, did you and did you are like really different. Is that just a Jersey thing?
You're from Jersey.
Yeah, I know, but therefore it's normal to me. When I was in North Carolina, they went around pointing at me and laughing, going, hey, you thirsty? You want some water? Water?
Yeah,
you want
we
water?
say water, we say coffee,
Yeah.
we say walk, we say talk.
Yeah.
We say you're good.
Yeah.
We're asking somebody how are they? We just say you're good.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but see, it's like the words you and good we say. We don't say you good or now good.
Good.
Yeah, we say W do, not me particular, but I hear WUDDER, water. And I got laughed at in North Carolina, and I laughed at them, but only with people from New Jersey when they weren't around.
Do you say
Yeah,
pecan?
I
Is it
I have
pecan
a
or
lot of
pecan?
I had a lot of cousins that lived in Vermont because that's where my mother's family settled, when they came to this country. And they would always, they would always parrot everything me and my brothers and my sister would say too.
Yeah.
But my mother, she maintained her New England accent.
Yeah,
So is
it
Is it pecan or pecan?
depends who you're asking.
It's pecan.
Why is
It's
that?
pecan, it's Taylor ham, and it's sauce, not gravy.
Aunt or aunt. If you say
Aunt.
pecan, you say aunt.
No, I say aunt.
No. Oh, I say aunt too. You know? Not the Taylor ham pork roll thing. I mean, that's all New Jersey, one way or the other.
That's
But there are, and I can't remember exactly what it is, but in North Carolina, they had a point every time they made fun of me too, And
so what was the point?
well, I don't know. It's saying hello. Say that saying everywhere. Oklahoma's the one you make fun of. They don't put stuff away; they put it up. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if it's put it up down there. See, I always thought put it up down sounded kind of, and
Kind of flaky.
yeah, but they don't.
Did you live in Oklahoma for a while?
Yeah, like
How long?
3 years.
3
Almost
years.
3 years about it.
How
Yeah.
did you adapt to that's like a totally different culture? How did
I was
you?
I was on my way to California because I had a relationship that went bad there, and I decided I needed to remove myself from the immediate area. So I took off with I think $80, a full tank of gas, $40 in scrap copper. See how far I'd get. Oh, I had equipment. I had a tent. I had like sterno to cook food. I was ready to just exist. And I know somebody in Oklahoma, my best friend from high school. Went to school there, and so he was still there as it worked out and doing well. I had to stop and sing, but when I got there, I had enough money. I would have got to California, in my estimation, with $30. And he says, listen, you're a carpenter, you got your tools, you can get a job anywhere around here. And I went and rode out and got a job, So I decided to stay for 2 weeks. Then my friend played a joke on me. I wasn't familiar with Oklahoma. He said this way, let's go take him out to, I'll remember the name of the bar. And I was real close. And it was like a dancing. People danced all the time. They're the line dances and two-stepping and all that. But anyway, what he didn't tell me is this bar had ladies' night because they had male dancers from like 7 till 9. So he took me there at 5 after 9, which is when guys would be first allowed in.
Yeah.
At all. So you go walking into a bar where all these women were watching dancers they couldn't have. And then a guy comes walking in, you know what I mean? It's like, it's a good environment for girls who have been drinking, watching male dancers. I found out what it was like getting my ass grabbed, hooted at, and I wasn't allowed to get off the dance floor after dancing a two-step, and I get physically dragged back because I learned to do that because that's,
What's a two-step?
Well, it's sort of like the two-step. You see it all the time, but it's like going 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and it produces this sort of 1, 2, 3, and the steps are meant that it's easy to do facing somebody, or alongside. And it's real easy that when you do that, even just freelance it, you can do that Grateful Dead style, and it still looks cool, But anyway, the point is you went out to dance after getting grabbed one time because it was easy to be good at that. And, normally the posture for a woman would be her hand where she had the upper one. The other one, she's supposed to either tuck the thumb in a belt loop or just tuck the thumb down to, inside person's jeans. And this woman that I had no idea who she was, she put both her hands like down my pants on my bare ass while we were dancing.
Woo!
Yeah, that's what I thought. And then I looked over and saw my friends leaving. And, you know, I didn't know that it was the male dancer night, first guys allowed in thing. And that talked me into thinking Oklahoma City was the coolest city anywhere. So I stayed. So I stayed for like 3. Well, I met Cheryl there. You know, so.
You met Cheryl in Oklahoma, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Embarrassingly enough, you know, the first thing I said to her,
What?
she idled up behind me in a wheelchair. They're like really quiet, you know, and it was at a festival sort of thing, not a positively single group, you know.
Yeah.
And it was like they were raising money for her. So she was kind of like the main thing there, so she could go get hyperbaric oxygenation to see if it helped with the her muscle spasticity. And
Did it?
a little bit, yeah. But she, you know, she wasn't that. She's moving around like I am now. She just couldn't walk, so it wasn't like, you know, the extreme thing. But the thing is, I'd already noticed her, and it caused me to like totally. I was like flustered, you know, really. And I kind of looked at her from a 45-degree angle from behind because I didn't figure she could turn around and catch me too quick. Which, you know, that's kind of, I don't know if that's low or what, but it's field vision. Anyway, I had to get away, so I went to get a hot dog and turned around where I was supposed to get a hot dog, and I heard, "Why don't you enter the contest?" And I turned around and I heard her right behind me, and there's like this group, you know, it's an open area inside the an event center on the fairgrounds, you know, so it was like a wide open place, and there's a whole bunch of people gathered, and she said, "Over there, it's the cutest tush contest." And before I could stop myself, I said, "What are you, blind as well? I don't have much of a tush." And in my mind, it's, "What are you, blind as well? You don't meet somebody in a wheelchair and say, 'Are you blind as well?'"
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, but that's when
Wow.
that's when I got that smile that she already knew that I was going, "Oh," you know. Anyway, yeah, that's how it started out. And oh yeah, and then it was our.
Hi, Trisha.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
Trisha. Welcome to the show.
Yeah,
Thank
we're-
you. Good
we're
to see you.
We always have fun sidebars waiting for the main attraction, you know.
I caught that.
Yeah,
that. I'd like to hear it from the beginning, but I don't want to rewind.
Yeah, the ending of it then, real quick, was, "Are you going to be come to the dance?" It was a dance fair, you know, they're having at night, and it was almost like a gymnasium type. I think it was a gymnasium. It's hard to tell because it was all opened up. And she was at the table where you bought tickets to go in with a couple other people. And I stopped by, and yeah, there she is. So we're talking, and the other 2 people are giving me the stink eye, like, "What's he doing?" You know, like they're going to jump in and protect her or something. Anyway, I was talking to her, and again, it was one of these, "Let's dance." And I got freaking women. It dragged me out to dance. But this wasn't two-step. This was dancing, you know. I'm like, I wouldn't be rude, but I know Cheryl could see in, and she could see us dancing because we're like just on the other side of the door there. So I did this whole thing where I did turning around the other way and danced a little bit and do it, and she did it. She did the same thing like afterwards, and the minute she got around, I ducked down and ran into the crowd and like ditched her, you know, like running deep into the crowd. Because it's not the only door. I know that. I knew there'd be, and there was another door, and it came up behind the table. So now I come walking up, and she's sitting there going like that, and I put my head right next to her. I go, and I think the poor bastard went out the back, you know, and there I was, you know, I was in. So anyway, that was the end of it.
That's it.
So, yeah. So what's up, Trisha? Thanks for being here. Really.
Well, thanks for having me.
Okay, Trisha.
Yeah.
Yay, you're here.
I'm here.
Okay, so wherever you want to start, we're gonna let you do the talking. You're gonna tell us what you've been up to. How are things over by you? You know, you go.
Wow.
You start wherever you want.
That's a loaded question.
Loaded question.
Yeah,
okay,
a lot of answers.
How is life where you're living?
You know, I live in the the northern suburbs, so I'm a little detached from what's happening with ICE. It's heavy. A lot of people are hurting in Minnesota. And talking to my peers, last evening I was at Earl Giles, and that's a cannabis community. And they're hurting, and they're really sharing what's going on. And there's some talk about this is what it's like. Now you guys know what it's like. To be a Black person or a brown person, because obviously Renee Good and Alex Preddy with those shootings, we're having to experience this from a different lens, I guess, what I want to say. And I have not personally gone down to protest. I'm preserving my own mental health. And honestly, with one of the far right gentlemen from January 6th was here a couple of weeks ago. And I'm fear for myself and others. That's why I've taken a step back. I just don't trust who's intermingling in the crowd. If it's truly a Minnesotan protesting peacefully, or if it's somebody that's come from another state, which we had instances of that in the past with George Floyd causing havoc. I've had to stay back from that. Listening to people last night, I feel like Minnesota has been a testing ground. I feel like we've really shown resolve and resisted getting sucked into the violence. We've demonstrated that there's been peaceful protests, and I'm really proud to be a Minnesotan. I'm originally from Wisconsin, but I've been here over half of my life. So I don't know if you want to add anything to that. Otherwise, I'll move on to the next subject. It's heavy. It's heavy, and I'm deeply concerned about what's happening, the state of affairs in our country.
Yeah, I think we all are.
Where in Wisconsin? I mean, not to get away from Minnesota, but I'm just curious.
Boscobel? Have you heard of Boscobel?
No.
It is about 3,000. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying I've been in out of Madison and up to Eau Claire and up to Green Bay and things like that. So I didn't know.
It's about an hour and a half from Madison, the southwestern part of the state. It's on the Wisconsin River and the Mississippi. We're close to Prairie du Chien, if you've heard of Prairie du Chien. They're about 30 minutes away. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful town of 3,000 people, the birthplace of the Gideon Bible and the turkey capital of Wisconsin, where my parents still live at 88 and 89.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
You know, I was saying your accent sounded really close to a Minnesotan's accent, but it didn't, I was like, and so when you said Wisconsin, I'm like, that's it. It's exactly that. Yeah.
I can't shake it.
No.
Midwest girl all the way.
Obviously, I went there because a fellow medical cannabis activist, Jackie Rickert and Gary Stork, became two of my closest friends in the world ever. Jackie passed away several years ago, but their bill there, it was the Jackie Rickert Medical Marijuana Act. Where Mark Pocan was still active there instead of being in. What is he now, in federal, or is he? I get him mixed up. Is he governor or somewhere? No, that's anyway. But anytime
he's Congress.
Yeah. I follow. We got to know each other pretty good, and then of course Tammy Baldwin would remember me as the guy that had a 5-foot styrofoam coffin that looked like a coffin because I took black duct tape and it looked like it really did, And the great thing is their medical marijuana bill died in committee because Greg Underheim, the head of the committee, didn't bring it up, his own bill, and he could have, and he didn't. He stabbed him in the back. He even had a Et-tu Underheim sign, but we had a thing at their Great Midwest Marijuana Harvest Festival. No, I get them and the New York ones mixed up, but it's a Great Midwest Harvest Festival. Ben is always doing that, and we wanted to. We put it up on 2 black pieces of poster board for the support, and I laid out on a sleeping bag with a pillow, and it had gold pleated sort of foil on the inside. It really looked good, And I had a copy of the bill with fake roses and fake marijuana leaves. And it was medical marijuana bill. We were honoring medical marijuana bill. And the funny part was when the wind came and took it a little bit, it looked like it was going surfing. These two little stoners went and got it, and then they carried it back like it was a real dead person. They didn't just hustle it back. They came back anyway. Wisconsin, I tell you, I think, Madison's different. So, I mean, I got to know some of the outer Wisconsin, but that's a whole place unto itself. But,
I lived in Madison for a year, 94 to 95 as a new grad.
Oh, well, we had fundraisers at the Cardinal Bar. I don't know if you know where that is, but it's right across from the lake where Otis Redding's plane went down. So I was there with Keith Straub, the founder of Normal, and some Ben, and we were on a little triangular set of grass where the road, illegally passing joints around, and people riding by it, not having no idea who we were, what we were doing. It got quiet for a second, and I started whistling. It's not going to happen. And everybody just whistled that through a couple of times. I got great memories of Wisconsin. I was just trying to give a good segue from.
What year was that?
2000.
1907.
I recognize Tammy Baldwin's name, but the other ones.
Yeah, she's a senator, of course, now. Greg Underheim was the head of the committee that the bill was in, and he even came to Patients Out of Time conference in a similar in California down by Mavericks, that place to surf. He even came there because of that bill, and then he turned around and stabbed everybody in the back. I have this great picture of him with this big beer. We were all drinking beer, and he was pointing to a map of Wisconsin, and we were all having fun, and just wanted to show that picture with a sun don't sign after that, But they organized Good in Wisconsin, and they go in. They had a sing-along every day at noon for 2 years. I forget what it was all about several years ago, but it can be pretty crazy. But really, nothing but good times in Wisconsin.
So, Tricia, why don't you tell us what you're up to now?
Well,
Because
got a few things
since
going
we
on.
just spoke, you've got a lot going on, right?
Yeah. It's I'm trying to stay balanced. That's what cannabis has taught me. So they take that very seriously. So I yesterday our third volume, first edition of Bloom magazine came out. I do not have a copy with me yet. Bloom is a cannabis lifestyle magazine geared to help consumers to a healthier state of living. So I've done 5 out of the last 6 articles in Bloom. This was the very first one. So,
Nice.
practical. And Sue, I still need to mail you a copy.
Okay.
I'll have more of the newest one tomorrow, or actually tonight, but I'll mail it out probably next week.
I'll text. You don't have my address, do you?
Yes, you gave it to me. I just failed to mail you one the last time.
Okay.
So I'm really proud of Bloom. It's in supermarkets and libraries. It was a Green State Award for Best Magazine Book. And it's been a really grassroots effort to get this out there. In the beginning, I was dropping them off at dispensaries and actively trying to find advertising because it is free to the consumer. So a lot of great movement there. I work part-time at the hospital, and I changed positions. I was in the substance abuse, addiction medicine, mental health unit, and it closed. It was the only one left in the state. And so I had to rebid for a position elsewhere in the hospital, and I chose the geriatric psychiatry department mainly because I like that population, and I used to work with them when I was a new grad and a nursing assistant back in the early days. And we know there's a lot of support and research with cannabis treating dementia and Alzheimer's with the aggression and neurocognitive support. So I I want to work with that population and get familiar with them again. And that my last day of training is tomorrow. And that's another area that's been it's hard when you start a new position when someone else has got to change their job because this veteran has come into their unit and they have to rebid and get moved around the hospital. And that just adds to the weight, what's happening in my life. But I had the keys handed to me by an African immigrant woman who had not said anything to me all day. And then she handed the keys over to me because she had to be bumped and I was taking her position. And I mean, people understand that this is what can happen. We have a union and
What union?
it hits hard. That we have a union, so based on seniority,
What union? What union?
Oh, sorry, the Minnesota Nurses Association. And I was able to, go to another unit and bump somebody off, which just sucks, but that's just the reality. And I'm still planning on working for a couple of years. One of the benefits of being in that union is I can actually retire in 19 months. I don't know if I'll actually retire, but it might give me a little more freedom to work freely in the cannabis space with the retired RN license, but I'm not there yet. I haven't planned out retirement yet. Okay, so that's happening. The other thing is I am working with a nurse practitioner and she's hoping to open a dispensary in St. Paul this summer, first nurse-owned dispensary. What I really am passionate about is really just helping educate consumers on how to use cannabis for wellness and into implementing it into a healthy lifestyle. That's how I want to show up. I want to meet with people group-wise, individually, and I do individual consults now. Just this plant is amazing. You guys all know this. You've been in this longer than I have. And just with this high safety profile, I wish that we would go back to our natural herbs and remedies that we've been using for centuries. And I think we just need to educate the public that this is not new medicine. It was around in America, 1850 to the 1930s. And just making that connection where aspirin comes from, willow bark, digoxin, digitalis, penicillin, fungus, like this is not new to be using a plant for medicine, an herb. And I just want to help break that stigma. What I don't like is wasting my time on social media. And that's one of my areas I want to work on. And part of that, I have to use it to promote cannabis, obviously, and the services I provide and sharing stories. But at the same time, it's a time suck for me. And that's what I'm trying to help people when they're using cannabis is reevaluate how they spend their time. Because at your end of life, what do you wish you had more of is time. And so, okay, I talked about the magazine. I talked about, the dispensary, June, my job change, but we should probably talk about the hemp ban too. So I've been in this space for about 3 years and I've been really fortunate to be in the know and meeting people with small businesses in the hemp space. The beverage industry, the edible industry has really taken off here in Minnesota. And the fact that thousands of people could lose their jobs and all these small business owners losing their revenue with that 0.4 milligram total for packaging is absolutely ridiculous. We know that low dose hemp beverages have been successful here and consumers use it as medicine. They've had success. We're not having ER visits over consumption issues. So I really feel for the hemp people in this state and all over. Obviously, it's a $24 million industry that's going to be done November 12th of this year. I don't know how people can work around that. Yeah.
Jim, you have questions?
Yeah, November 12th of this year. I'm being brought up to date right now myself because everybody's got their strong suits, and hemp, where we are, I rely on like Sue and Lefty and others. So November 12th, because in Minnesota, I mean, it just seems like, I don't know, it would be very adaptable for hemp compared to other things that might not be good to grow in that much of a northern climate. I don't know, but it seems like it may be more integral to Minnesota's economy than New Jersey's. I mean, even if we were, but I do know that the farm bill, is that the hemp bill that just?
Yeah, 2018 Farm Bill. Yeah.
Okay, so at least I do know what we're talking about.
Well, with Minnesota, we've been so slow to roll out adult cannabis use. We've been legal since 2023. We've had the medical before that, but that's why I think the hemp has taken off so strongly in Minnesota. It's been really successful, and I've met a lot of owners in that space, and their livelihood is just, I don't know how you can work around that with that cap of 0.4 milligrams. Is just nuts. We've tolerated 5 and 10 milligram edibles and beverages in this state just fine.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's it.
So how are the people in your community feeling about the whole hemp ban? Are you getting any feedback from anyone? Are you getting the pros? Are you getting more cons? What's the vibe out there?
More cons right now than anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've talked to anybody how they're going to pivot. I've heard some switching to cannabis, collaborating and building forces in that that field. And but I don't know of any collaborative efforts yet. So yeah, I'm not sure how they're going to recover with this. We have, gosh, what is it? I think it was like 15% of the market was hemp beverages.
Mm-hmm.
The Tavern League is powerful, and so is the pharmaceutical industry. So we got a big battle.
Yeah, we've got bigger fish to fry. I know.
Mm-hmm.
So where do you see yourself? Okay, so you're gonna do the Jerry Psych thing, which
Yep.
Kudos to you. That will be very interesting. It's very interesting too in the cannabis space among our profession. There's an awful lot of nurses that do Jerry Psych, and I'm not one of them. But there really is. So it was, I kind of like chuckled when you said you were going to go to do Jerry Psych. And I know that there's some investigation and some studies going on how cannabis helps with dementia and, helps the elderly, period,
Mm-hmm.
not just the psychiatric patients. We used it with my mother because she had glaucoma, and it helped a bit, and it also kind of chilled her out, so she was good with that. And Lefty, didn't you do the same thing with your grandmother? Lefty, you're
Yes, I did. Yep, absolutely. It was very helpful.
Yeah,
I used it. My mom used it. Her last 2 battles with cancer. She had ovarian cancer at 85, and last fall, she finished up chemo and radiation for bladder cancer, and she was able to use a low dose hemp derived THC tincture, 1.75 milligrams, and it helped her with her appetite. It helped her decrease her anxiety, and it helped her sleep. And I had posted a little video of her yesterday on social media, and she's really passionate and supportive of what I'm doing because she's a retired nurse. She didn't retire till she was 81.
Oh.
And the fact that, yeah, she's, yeah, She can do circles around me. She's slowing down a little bit, but she's just a very vivacious 88-year-old, and she would not like me actually sharing her age right now. But yeah, it helped her, and I just, it should be available. We know this to everybody, and that was just Delta 9. So, because Wisconsin, of course.
Hmm.
But yeah, she's at risk for not having access to that come November. So I'm concerned, but she's really pushing me to go out into assisted livings and senior centers, senior living, and she thinks it should be available to nursing home residents. And I'm hoping once I get a little bit more grounded on this geriatric psychiatry unit that I can come forward and present some type of a pilot study, or let's try initiating cannabis in this setting there. I've talked to a couple of the patients already that in my short orientation, an 86-year-old woman with major depression disorder, and she was really supportive of it. And all I can do is educate. I can't tell her what to do, obviously. But I can be reached. I still have my website, Centris Health and Wellness, and people can set up appointments through there. But that's going to dissolve because, like I said, I'm going to be combining forces with Lynn Walkler, who's Ceres Medical. So if you go to my site, it directs you to Ceres Medical. However, you still need to hit that connect button on there to get through to me to set up a consultation. And then we work up a care plan. And that includes follow-up. So that's for me, Sue, that's really how I want to show up. I just want to work with people directly. I'm comfortable doing that. I've been at bedside for over 31 years. And my bulk of my career has been in medical telemetry and cardiology. And I had 5 years in the substance abuse mental health floor, and now I'm currently in the Geri Psych unit. But what I'm seeing is our system's not set up for prevention at all. And I see cannabis as a preventative tool if used with intention. And I really hope that I can reach people and really show how expose the system. It's not set up. Our daily lives were pounded with images of pharmaceuticals promising results with these high likelihood for suicide and hazardous drug warnings. And I'm baffled that this is where we're at. I know there's been some counts on how many commercials that are focused on pharmaceuticals. And then also there's plenty on our poor food system and alcohol, right? This is what dominates what we see on television. And you never see those the more you know type of educational little sound bites like on NBC. So I think we got to get back to making it simple. The pharmaceutical and the supplement industry is raking in on our sickness. And we are capable of turning around a lot of these chronic disease, which are a lot mainly based on our lifestyle factors. And it's not easy. It's not easy to do that, to show people, but it's also not that complicated to make subtle changes in your life and starting to see the difference. You get a little bit more motivated, and it can be as simple as adding more water or drinking one less can of soda a day, or, not buying chips. You start there, start moving your body. We know now that food is the biggest predictor of our health, and serotonin, that mood chemicals produced in our gut, the gut-brain connection, and movement. Movement's the other biggest factor of our health, and our later years, if we don't make changes now, are not looking good for our last 10 to 15 years of our life, and that's a big concern. And our life expectancy is going down. So I've kind of rattled on about why I'm in this space, and yeah, I'll let somebody interject anytime because I could go on and on.
Well, but
You're our guest. We want you to go on. You're fine. You're good.
That is your purpose here.
Yeah.
If it's your mission, should you decide to take it, and because I'm already, don't mistake me for being quiet, which is unusual, obviously.
I noticed
Which is
that.
never.
Yeah, no, it's there's a lot to hear about what you're saying, and sometimes I make notes so I can kind of get it in all at once, but I'm trying to improve my memory by not relying on notes and see how that goes. But
It's interesting though to listen to cannabis activists and advocates on from different parts of the country, because there are four of us here that are we're in Jersey, we're on the East Coast, so it's a little bit different here. So what about so I'm going to ask you a couple of questions that I'm going to throw out, like is there any talk about getting a bill passed for Ryan's Law? And I ask you that because you talked about you wanting to, be able to work with patients, with having their, the right kind of medication. And the only way we're going to do that is if either cannabis is descheduled or Ryan's Law, makes its way into your state. So is there any kind of chatter about that?
So to be honest with you, that's an area that I have to do a little bit more research on. So I believe with what I know is in Minnesota, I believe the caregivers can bring in cannabis, but they have to provide it to their patient or to their loved one. And we are both medical and adults. I'm not sure about what my hospital policy is yet, so I'm definitely going to be looking into that between everything else.
Well, it's federal too, don't forget, because cannabis is still federally illegal.
Yeah.
And because the hospitals and the docs and us too, with our licenses, even though we tend to not care that much, that it affects funding. And that's what the key thing is, because in order to get a Joint Commission accreditation and what have you, that it costs money, and those are all federally funded programs, and the hospitals require that. So the pushback is from that. But to be able to have caregivers bring in medication or family members bring in medication, as they do, with Ryan's Law, that would be like ideal. That would be a beautiful thing for
Ryan,
someone like you to work on, and if you needed help, you got a whole bunch of people behind you.
Woo.
Well,
yeah.
It's also not a concept. I mean, Ryan's Law is not a concept of a plan. It's not even a plan. It's that setting the tone in California, and of all places, if I'm not mistaken, Maryland also has a working Ryan's Law, and there's one other state. So it's not in a lot of places, but just like California with Prop 215 in 1996 started the ball rolling, there were 4 states 2 years later, or I think 3, 4, whatever, right there in the end of the 90s, which gave the entire rest of the country places to pick at and say they're doing it there. So maybe you can even have some luck of finding people, as I suggest to us here, in those states, legislative counterparts to who you have in Minnesota, to say this person would not be adverse to talking to you about that. So that's kind of like, what we try to do is connect with counterparts in other states, but it's really good, that and if you do retire, you will have no shortage of things to do with what you're talking about. And myself, I ended up forced into retirement with the pandemic as a carpenter. I'm 73, so it was coming anyway. But I don't know how I could function if I had to work into things that I try to do now. I don't know, how I used to do it, But that's really, and also the demographics of people who use cannabis, of course, are changing, and they're going northward age-wise, which means, there's always going to be a growing necessity. It's the more people you can educate, twice as many are going to be right behind them that need education. So methinks you're going to be busy.
I think so too. And it'll be okay because I'll have a little bit more freedom when I can retire to do that. I was just gonna go back to, I know that there's some outdoor grows that are occurring in Minnesota. Obviously not right now in this 34-degree balmy day, but I know some colleagues that are doing some indoor grows as well across the border into Wisconsin. But as a educated cannabis nurse, as Sue would also say, that it's that sun grown that really is the most sought after, just because it's more natural. But we have to do what we can in Minnesota to get our grows.
Yeah.
So I was going to talk about the scheduling. So I know, like, if it goes to Schedule 3, I guess it's progress, but it's definitely not the best case scenario. It's good for tax. It's good for the medical legitimacy.
It's good for Ryan's law, where it wouldn't be Schedule 1 anymore. I mean, that
doesn't mean anything. What happens with this is that
it doesn't do anything other than change perception for legislators who would be less drawn in. I'm not banging the drum for Schedule 3, but I am banging the drum for not to wait for something better for another freaking decade. Schedule 3 isn't the end of the line. It should be a jump off point, a diving board. Look, the sky's not falling. Obviously, we need to go further. So, I have like extreme mixed feelings. It's sort of like the old Dick Clark, it's a good song, but hard to dance to. It's sort of like, do you like it or not, then? Well, what a weird analogy that was.
Yeah, that was really weird.
Yeah, you got
made me laugh.
You got it, though, didn't you, Sue? Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm used to listening to you.
Yeah.
It opens up medical research. Those three things are really about it. I would rather see it not descheduled, but regulated.
Yeah.
I would like to see it descheduled. For obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And because there's too much to be said about it. Once there's regulations on anything, even if say we'll use Minnesota because that's who you mentioned, in Minnesota where caregivers can bring in cannabis. But there's a lot that goes along with that. Like, the patients have to be registered patients in the medical program. The caregivers have to be registered caregivers within the state. And then there's the hospital or the facility, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
And the facility can make their own rules, so that's where that's all those little problems that pop up when you think, oh, that sounds so good, until you put it into action, and then with Schedule 3, that puts that back into the hands of, somebody like my husband who's calling. Hold on 1 second. I'll be back.
Aren't you excited to have CBD in your Bayer aspirin? Come on now.
That could replace that potentially if they could compare the two, right? I just think big pharma is about profits and not helping people heal. It's we're in a system. It's like palliative care, a pill for the ill. So
we're in New Jersey, a big time pharmaceutical state. I mean, it's ridiculous, and it's almost assumed that anything to do with cannabis has some sort of pushback from them that's understood without being, dog whistle to other people, legislators, being in a pharmaceutical state, which is of course affecting home grow for patients. My issue. And
Novartis just built a huge building on Route 10. You think that's a grow house?
Okay.
I'm just kidding. But maybe not.
Yeah, really, Lefty. You're on.
Maybe not.
You're on candid camera right now. You can ask questions later. We'll give you questions.
Oh, man.
Good. You know, the problem with Schedule 3, though, and I'm going to give you just my unsolicited opinion, is that, okay,
Please tell us there.
Okay,
Now it's
thank you.
solicited.
So Schedule 3, what does that do? So that allows for possibly pharmacists, absolutely physicians and nurse practitioners to be able to give someone a script, right? Okay, but they have to go through a whole program in order to get there. Okay, so which my husband has gone through twice already, and we still don't even have home grow in Jersey. However, what happens with that? Okay, patients don't like to make appointments, and doctors and nurse practitioners, maybe nurse practitioners, but I would say physicians as a whole, really, they don't like to be just cannabis doctors. There's no money in that. You know, they gotta keep their doors open. You know, so there's been a lot of pushback from that. You know, we have like a few of them in my area, and I probably live in, I would say, the most lenient area in Jersey because I'm in Bergen County, and the docs that have gone just full cannabis, you know, they're older, they're established, you know, they have a lot of, you know, they already had the patient population, so they were good with that, you know. But, you know, for somebody that, you know, mostly everybody likes to specialize, you know, it's kind of hard. So that's why I don't like Schedule 3, because then you know, then you're writing a prescription out again. Okay, so we're giving it back to the hands of whoever, and then where does that prescription go to? They got to go to maybe a medical dispensary. It depends on the state, or maybe to a pharmacist, and then we got pharmaceutical companies involved again. You know, and that they would be involved anyway. So you know, I don't think it does much for research, and this is just my opinion. Okay, I have a lot to base it on, but I'm not going to talk about that. But it's not going to do a lot for research because the research has been done. The research is being done. The research will continue to be done.
Johnny Trash says, ask that psychologist how many patients they cured. But it's not about how many patients they cured. It's about managing.
Well, first of all, a psychologist doesn't cure patients. Right. A psychologist is a therapist, is a social worker. Okay. So,
how many drugs in a pharmacy cure anything? I mean, you know, it's
they don't cure. They
right, exactly, right. That's what I'm saying. It's not about does it cure. It's about managing the symptoms, you know, and having the experience with Cheryl and primary progressive MS on a downhill course. It lasted a long time. I can say that, the difference was just so huge with no tests, and now it has been studied, but you know, it's still there's people with it. I mean, I don't know what it's like to have to be well, it's not a double-blind, placebo-controlled clinical crossover gold standard test, therefore, and it has to use the good stuff from Oxford, Mississippi, which good stuff, I'm being very sarcastic, you know, all that to take it seriously. You know, without getting long about it, that's why I did the first test ever, apparently, of how this worked, doing this with Cheryl in her hospital bed out in front of the state capitol, and state troopers there, you know, and it was oral, and yeah, it worked. She was like stiff spaghetti, and now she's like loose spaghetti and nothing else. So that at least I got to say that every time somebody said it hasn't been studied, I can say, yes, it has. And it wasn't a double blind, it was a single, it was the worst minimal test you could do. But if it's never been tested, it's the best test ever done. No test has ever shown it to not work. So I always work from the other side, you know, shouldn't it be tested? And but Sue, I agree with you that if there's a way to be found to screw up that too, and there is. I've been surprised along the way. I don't take anything for granted. I'll have my opinions, but I have been wrong. I don't even want to say how many times. I mean, I hate to even say it, you know.
Say it.
And I will get fooled again, unlike the Who telling me I won't, you know. I am Charlie Brown, and I have never kicked a football. You know? But sometimes it actually for me is always about the effort, not the chance of success. Because too many times people say, "Well, I don't do that because it'll never work," and that's called a self-fulfilling prophecy. If everybody says it won't work, it doesn't work because nobody tries. And there is success in failure, people. I don't mean you people. When I'm talking,
No, absolutely.
Because once you do fail, it shows that something needs to be done. And if you fail to convince a legislator of something, it shows. Yeah, the process always gives you something, more ammunition otherwise. So, redefining success and failure, it is just keeping it in play, And I still think, I always say, Cheryl and I were gatekeepers. We were way before our time in 1990s in New Jersey, and we knew that, and we knew she wasn't going to outlast this. And she would say in an Associated Press article, it was incredibly moving, that her answer to David Pace of the Associated Press was, "Oh no, it's too late for me. I'm trapped in my body, and there's nothing I can do, and it's deteriorating, and there's nothing I can do about it. But there's more other Jims and Cheryls out there that have more time, And it's like, I think that's probably what we might even be doing. But I think that makes it all the more important to fail, so somebody else can use that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Can you say that in one sentence?
That was one sentence. That was one sentence. There were inferred commas and maybe a colon or two.
Oh gosh. How often do you guys actually physically get together?
Too many times.
Well, Lefty and I have Lefty takes the podcast to the State House the fourth Thursday of every month between either the end of March or then through Thanksgiving. And that's right at the State House. So we saw Governor Christie more times than we cared to. But we did, I don't know, you probably may not be aware, he has a problem with traffic cones, a bridge.
Bridges.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
I remember that.
What we did is the State House is close to the road in New Jersey because it was built in 1700. They didn't set stuff back, And the sidewalk that walks by there, it's cut out about like maybe 25, 30 feet into the steps of the State House. That's it. And it's not like one walkway, people can gather there and everything, So what we did is with the edges of the sidewalk before it cut in, where that happened, we put cones, traffic cones, out and then into the middle of the steps, directing one lane of foot traffic through there like they had one lane of traffic. Now, to Christie's credit, he could have gone in a side door, the back door, right by the state police contingent. He walked through every time. And we always knew when he was coming because a guy with a brown suit would come out and stand on the steps. And the state police would gather him, boom, he'd be right there. So it did have its advantages. And we're still doing it. And Lefty, we finished 11 years now. It was every Thursday for the first 3 years, but that was an impossible grind to keep up, and I was working then, and everything's rearranged. But the fourth Thursday, we still have a presence, and now we have a new governor. And in the process, without going, with Lefty, we're going to get into a good audit, so we'll talk to you about that later. Can't do it on the podcast here because it's being recorded. But it has to do with contacting our new governor.
Okay, you said enough.
No, we have a new governor. It's a new awakening, a new dawn. And
There's a new sheriff in town.
Okay, the close.
Glad you're optimistic.
The proximity to the State House on Thanksgiving she'd been elected governor, Mikey Sherrill, and we had one thing about the bill not being able to, and we usually have way a lot of signs. We only had two that would be in the picture. And it was at the steps of the State House, which after 8 years of renovations, we were at the annex right next door. It was our first podcast back in 8 years. So I framed a nice picture and no other signs for one purpose, to be able to attach that to the correspondence. And the other side is like Mikey Sherrill helped, just something, whatever, real nice, which is a nice attachment to an introductory, here we are. And, it'd be nice if we could have this bill heard now, because last governor stood idly by. And, it's actually is the lowest hanging fruit one could possibly have, because it only involves or simply having a conversation with the Senate president. That's it. No pushing, no shoving, no pushback, no positioning. Do that. Thank you very much. That was a beautiful, full answer to the lowest hanging fruit you have on your plate, without saying it like that. So, it's here I am again. I feel like I'm gonna say I really feel positive about this. When I say positive, I mean it actually does have a chance. And if it's like, Jim, what would your betting odds be? I would take bets at 5-1, meaning it's 5-1 against.
Oh,
But there's one chance in 5 that it'll get through.
yeah.
Oh, that means you got to throw
There's a
10.
chance.
You got to throw 10 things that way, one at a time. It doesn't mean there's other things that can't be done. But as always, I do it with that, because as I get going, it just arranges itself different, and it'll be fun. It's the best chance we've had since Chris Christie. It's the best chance we've had all along. I'm looking forward to it, and I mean this when I say I think actually a woman of her caliber and background should have a better chance than either of the last couple governors, if they even wanted to help. I just think it could work.
It's going to be an interesting time here. I think because, and I just had a thought in my head and it left me. What was I going to say?
Oh no!
Oh, because
Sorry.
She is going to be, I think, really good if we can ever, I don't
Get to
know.
her.
Yes. Yeah.
We just need to
but
get to her,
meanwhile-
I
but
think.
Meanwhile,
You gotta get-
meanwhile, back at the ranch here in Jersey, now we
No
we
more.
are getting inundated with the ICE agents, and that and
Yeah.
whatnot. So all the political upheavals that are going on, I think they were waiting for things to settle in here. We also have, I'm 5 minutes from the George Washington Bridge,
Mhm.
and
Yep.
New York City has a new mayor, and
And she's
and
going
he's 33 years old, and his whole background and blah blah blah. And so I think that's what this administration has been waiting for, as far as we're concerned, right here in our own little bubble.
Yeah.
And for all of that to settle in, and then aim their attack. And so then where does cannabis go again? Gets kicked to the back of the line. It's just
Well,
like this
yeah,
psilocybin thing.
No,
Psilocybin bills get written, and
it's not a
and-
line, though. It's not a line. That infers that other things have to happen first. Walking and chewing gum and all sorts of other things, and we don't have to get through to her. We have to get through to somebody that has access to her. Basically, it's everything. Well, in my path ahead, has to do with being that first person that gets this. I don't want to be responsible for not moving this one on, to get that reaction. That gives a chance, and there's a lot to offer. And I got to tell you what, as far as I know, if I Google search something, information about something, that I'm looking for information, I don't get back what I like. It's not like running something by me because it fits a whatever it's called, you know, the way them computer things work. It's to credential myself, I usually think Google search Jim Miller medical marijuana MJ quote. And I Google search it first. And the last time I read the way it's set up now is hilarious because it gives in blue the title, which is oh, and then the lead-in, which is like oh. And yeah, it says back in the 1990s and 2000s, Jim and Cheryl. Oh, okay, it's doing all that. Oh, look on this show that's pretty popular, one-on-one with Steve Adubato, former assemblyman. You know, having his Jim Miller, an assemblyman with Anna and so and so, and I'm reading it because everything I write to somebody, I'm that person at the other end when I reread it. You know, and I've got a good imagination. Cannabis comes in incredibly handy for that. When I can detach and go, I got one more to go through, and Kathy might, what? No, I'm just pretending, you know. And then I go reread what I wrote and go, oh, or I find something. So anyway, yeah, it's because it's quicker to Google search, but an inquiry won't be coming from me. It's always better when I'm pointing at Lefty. Somebody else gets credit for is going to actually write the letter, you know, and so he can refer to me, you know. Well, it turns out that he's the treasurer of his own group and had me installed as president, and I assume it's for my wrangling. Yeah,
The gift of gab.
We in big trouble. No, because I get to name drop stuff. I mean, if I wanted to say something to Mikey Sherrill, it'd be like also your former congressional colleagues, Chris Smith and Frank Pallone, will easily vouch for my
Legitimacy.
My tenacity.
Tenacity.
Yeah, because
I like that. I like you. I'm going to use that word about you from now on.
But understand, she knows, okay, why would this guy say that? Or no, not her, the person reading it. Why would this guy say that when he knows she could just as easily ask? Well, it's probably true. So I don't think they will. But if she did, I can only imagine Chris Smith going, yeah, I've had some problems like that. Apparently I didn't do something I said I would do when his wife died. I ran into him in my office and he made me yell at him because I was flustered, and yeah, I had a whole thing, you know. And then when she died, he left funeral flowers to my office, you know. And all right, that's tenacious, but he's also a Republican, and maybe a governor would be going, holy crap. And then the other one would be, yeah, well, Frank Pallone promised Cheryl to her face that he would talk to another congressman that we'd already talked to. That's all we wanted him to do. And then she died, and he had plenty of time. And other congressman, Rob Andrews, said, no, he never talked to me, Jim. So I picketed my displeasure at his home at 1175 Ocean Avenue in Long Branch with a memorial wheelchair and a sign that said, here lives Congressman Pallone. He lied while my wife died. Oh, I didn't mention marijuana, cannabis. And I was testing the Patriot Act at the time because it was 2003. And it turns out I had the right to do that. I had to come back the next morning while the police sorted it out because I figured, do I want to get taken away now or do I want to give them time to think? And I said, I'm coming back in the morning. And I'm going to be mic'd for sound, videographer across the street, make sure the morning crew knows the Constitution a little bit. They don't have to read far. It's First Amendment and the Bill of Rights. I can be here. And I did. So, but what I'm saying is she wouldn't have to find any of that out. But to be able to name drop, so I'm assuming that Lefty made an okay choice to somewhat install me, and everybody said that would be great. Because until then, it was like a co-founder of the Coalition for Medical Marijuana New Jersey, which was 501c3 since 2003. But anyway, let them all find this out and go, do we really want to ignore this guy? You know? And you know, the smartest thing when you do email is to whoever gets the email, Duty, you know, do that. Could you please acknowledge receiving this email so I will know that a reply will be forthcoming. So if they always do, you know, okay, right then, yes, we got that, we'll get that, and we'll be in touch, you know, but that starts the clock ticking, you know, and we're going to start a clock ticking, and they're not going to say, hey, he started a clock ticking, but they're going to know it. It's going to be like, it's such an easy ask to, you know, one thing, talk to a guy, that's it, nothing else. Well, we got other issues, but it's like a test run. You know, if you can't do this, you're not going to be any help at all. Without saying it, I've got experience doing this, I tell you. But then I realized that what I'm really doing is manipulating people, and I hate the feeling of manipulating somebody, creating perception, you know.
For the right cause.
Yeah. Well, without saying much about it, it's sort of like if you want to indicate somebody wrote something that you didn't write, just you need to write it out like longhand.
The old-fashioned way.
Then, yeah, well, no, yeah, like Fermento, but if somebody said, Lefty, did you write this or did Jim write it? No, I wrote it. He asked me to. It depends who you want it to come from, you know? I'll be so happy when I can be real open with how good this works. And I can say, Jim, congrats. Or, yeah, you tried to kick that football loose he was holding up. Yeah. Sometimes I do offer relief from more serious issues too, you know, I realize that. What I love about this, I can see me. I know what I look like, but I can also, nobody knows who I'm looking at, do you? You can't tell. So,
No, you can't.
No.
So it's not like when I used to do more talking with people, I love watching, and when Cheryl was there and we were talking, then nobody was looking at their watch or moving. It was like looking at a picture, and I knew we had them, you know, and it'd be really cool. But then you work stuff like it. If wasn't getting paid attention enough, I just say something really loud, like without them knowing if it was purposed, to jerk them back to attention. You know, and to test the kids at the University of Rhode Island, Students for Sensible Drug Policy Northeast Regional Conference. These were motivated, smart, college young men and women who got to meet Cheryl and be like really inspired. And at the time, it was little President Bush, and I said something, and I was talking about him because I got arrested for having Cheryl's memorial wheelchair when he came to New Jersey, and had a sign so the helicopter could see it coming, and we disagreed where I could and couldn't be anyway. But anyway, just to test them, and I could see they were all staring, and you know, it was very captivating. And then I simply said that you know,
here.
something about him going or not going nuclear, because he always used to say nuclear instead of nuclear. You know, so I mean, I did it fast, and 3/4 of them chortled. Did I say chortled? I never use that word. That fit, right? Yeah.
That was impressive. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, I know. Hey, then it worked. Yeah, but it was you know. So anyway, that's why I kind of like this. You know, I mean, every now and then I feel like saying, I saw that. You know, the little eyebrow up, little turn of the head. We could communicate in front of everybody certain things, and you wouldn't even know it.
That's true.
She's agreeing with me without looking like it. Huh.
Well, Tricia, thanks for joining us today on our podcast. We love having you on.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, really.
Thank you.
Is awesome.
Yes, thank you.
And
I'll
good
find
luck.
a way around all the legalities, because a lot of people are using cannabis for health and wellness, and they're not going to go the medical route. They can be well informed and educated, and I can teach them and give them the information on how to select products and read COAs, even if I have to do it in a roundabout way. So
You'll do okay. You'll do fine.
yeah, I'm not worried about it either. I'm hoping that this dispensary gets open in June, and we really want to make it a community wellness area and social equity, disabled. We want to be able to teach the community and educate on other topics regarding health and wellness. And so
That's
what
great.
that's what I'm heading toward anyway.
That's awesome.
Are you going to go to CanMed, Sue?
I don't know.
I
Right
think
now,
it's
I'm in treatment, and so I have to just like hang around. So I don't know if I can
Okay.
do that.
But
I will try.
Separately.
Well, yeah, we'll talk separate.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll be sending some healing energy your way.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and thanks, Jim, for all your advocacy. Lefty, I know you were quiet, but I know you guys are
Yeah. Well,
working really hard.
He's the boss.
Yeah, I got
The
to
boss
say,
never says anything. The boss just listens.
I'm very quiet back here because Jim never takes a breath.
No, he
That can
doesn't.
be nice sometimes, though.
yeah, it's
I appreciate it.
and I can't ignore that Bong
Oh,
Holio's
look at Bong Holio's
in
message.
there, and I got to
That's
tell you,
sick.
you
That's so
might not
sweet.
know. You might not know Bong Holio. You could easily research Bong Holio.
Bong Holio.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But coming from him, that really means something.
that's really sweet.
Okay.
Oh, we appreciate that so much.
Love you right back.
Hey, Sue, one more thing
Mhm.
that I didn't bring up, guys, too. No, I did submit a proposal with the Ganjier in Minnesota for the Certified Medical Cannabis Consultant Program.
Good.
I don't know if it's going to be approved or not, but we worked hard on it, and we were hoping to provide in-person classes, 3 hours, couple days a week for 4 weeks, so 24 hours in class, and with a final and also a workshop, the 7th module, so we could actually do in-person training on a patient consultation.
Mhm.
And Ghislaine has a terpene tasting kit, so she would be able to teach on the aromatic compounds of terpenes and tying that into the medicine. So it could be a really, really unique educational experiences for certified medical cannabis consultants. Right now, the minimum is 30 hours of education, and that's pretty stark contrast compared to what we currently have our pharmacists doing consultations. So I figured as a nurse and a Berkeley educated Ganjier, not that she went to Berkeley for Ganjier, but we could come up with something that would be a lot better in pulling in people from the community and really having that one-on-one. Right now, the online programs are just that. There's no human connection. There's no chance to ask questions and interact with your instructors. So I'm hopeful that we can do it. So that could be another project that I might start on. But like I said, I don't know if it'll be accepted or not. But as a nurse that works with patients, I think that my insight and my training with my canning nurse certificate could really go a long way with these medical bud tenders is what I'll call it. I wish they wouldn't give them a medical title because not everybody's coming with any type of medical background. So we have to really simplify the education. But I think we can do it. One take on that is this plant's been around and used for 11,000 years. So they're giving it, if a 30-hour class is enough to help to teach somebody to be a consultant, then I want to get in there as a nurse and really prep them. But also on the consumer side, I'm going to be talking more about what they need to be looking for too, because I don't have a lot of faith that a GED or a high school education is enough. But that's why I'm jumping into the ring so that I can kind of help break that down. And like I said, we know it has a high safety profile. I'm not articulating that as well as I wanted to, but Yeah, I'm excited about that, and fingers crossed that I could be a part of that. So that we're doing harm reduction and teaching the low dose protocols and all of that. Start low, go slow, working with seniors on medication interactions, polypharmacy, all of that. So that could be
Okay.
another thing coming up, hopefully.
Okay, let's
I-
talk. And if I can help you in any way in the background, you know, you
Great.
got me. Okay.
I
All
do have a question for you. I heard you
Yeah.
mention terp tasting kits. I have been trying to find a company that has them that I can do for my classes.
I have the perfect person for you.
Oh,
Gislin
that would
Ball,
be
Terpene Tasting Kit. My print of you guys is so small right now, so I can't even catch your name. But maybe Sue can get me your contact information, and I will get
Yeah,
you
I can
Gislin's
do that.
information.
yeah. I'm
She's a
Liz
wealth
from
of knowledge. Mhm.
Liz Lights Up. I am a senior cannabis education online community.
Beautiful. Okay.
We are definitely under the radar, and not only as patients, not only as consumers, but as employees. There are many seniors that need to supplement their income, and with the not being able to afford medicine, this is a very good opportunity. They're loyal, they have good work ethic. We need to be more involved, and there's no marketing for seniors or the disabled, and that's what I'm changing. So,
Wow. I
and
think that's great.
I'm actually doing a pop-up at a dispensary on the 19th. So I won't be here. That's a Thursday. And I'm going to do some senior education, very basic, first time at a dispensary, that kind of thing, what to expect, no bark. And that's my mission, just to
Great.
bring us to the forefront.
I think that's awesome, and it's a great idea. And I'm hoping, in addition to what you're doing, is getting some of my retired nurse friends to do this on the side as well. But
Yeah.
seniors can be trained, anybody. It's doable.
Absolutely,
It's doable.
absolutely. And with my community, it's a school community, and we can do chats. We can old school, like AOL chat rooms where we can actually sit and talk. Only it's Y2K now, so we have video if you want. But it's to bring the community together, and that we're still very viable. We're still very viable, and we're a lot of fun, but we don't know shit either, because we went into the twilight zone.
I called it this computer thingy stuff going on earlier. I got lost for a word and a total face plant.
Thanks. Oh, I love it. Believe me.
I wish I could brag about my skills, but I can't. I'm in my 50s and I never really grasped onto technology that great myself. But I've been as a need to know kind of person.
Mhm.
Yeah. Well, and have people that do know. I mean,
Yeah.
I got a guy, I got a girl.
Right.
I got somebody that'll help, trade skills. And I have I've been a carpenter. I got skills to trade, but I'm kind of on the weak end of that, But then, as I get older, I get to slip under radar sometimes too, I do.
I can imagine.
Oh, I like
We're
that.
so under the radar.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, for like a committee testimony, more when there starts to be some to give,
Yeah. I said, show me an ad with three grandmas sitting around a kitchen table sharing a bong and an Entenmann's. And that's an ad I can get behind. I can relate to that.
Now I'm starving.
I wrote to Entenmann's. I sent them an email. I haven't heard back. I didn't expect to.
Well, thanks everybody. I want to thank you all for being here today. Thank you, Mad Hatter, CMMNJ, UFCW, Arlo Glass, Oprah Machine, and SativaCross.org. We have a list if you want to stick around for our list. It's what
Man,
drives me. It's,
we have a list. If I got a short version of it, for me, a short version, maybe for you, not, I don't know. Yeah, it's sort of like there's a lot of advocates and patients who really got the ball going, played integral parts, and they're gone. They got people die. Um, so like, gone but not forgotten. It's like what they do at the World Trade Center every year. They read a list aloud of everybody killed at the World Trade Center, and they ring a little bell after it. Well, we've always read a list. I think it's 61 or 62 people now, and it's first names. Not a lot of commentary occasionally along with it, not normally, and then a bell to separate the two. And I think we do it for ourselves mostly, because how does it hit hard all the time? And that's motivational. I'm motivated by two things. One, anger was my most motivating force in my life, but being emotional about something, and it keeps it real. These are real people, and if they're not mentioned, it's like they're gone. And so we do that, and then we read the ode to stanza from the ode to remembrance and honor. That was originally one. So, go ahead, Lefty. You ruined it all.
So this is the list. Thank you, Bongo Leo. This list is the foundation for the cause. Yes, they shall grow not old. Our list begins with Cheryl, Sabina, Diane, Gracie, Cindy Mae, Marie, Jack, Joan, Randy, Holly, Bill, Chad, Jeremy, Colette, Matt, Troy, Russ, Roger, Jay, Ella, Hattie, Jackie, Anthony, Jake, Armando, Felicia, Lynn, Dan, Sean, Joyce, Lori, Frank, Brian, Flo, Carl, Thorne, Frank, Lorraine, Terry, Charlotte, Cher, Jaybird, Michael, Marley, Colette, Brendan, Red, Rico, Lou, Becky, Luanda, Chip, Paul, Lisa, Marcus, Gary, Julia, Wayne, Waxy, Joe Marie, Jeff. We'd like to end the show like that, to bring it back home to where it should be, to where the patients are, and to where the focus should be. And, it's serious business when you have a list like this of all your friends and family and activists that you know and took part, and they're all on this list.
And we're on a good streak now. There's been nobody added for 3 weeks, maybe 4.
All year.
All year. It's gonna come. Anyway, thanks a lot. And
thanks everybody. We'll see you on.
but we've got to do the ode.
Yeah, see you, Cannabis Church on Sunday. They shall grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age shall
They
not
shall not
weary
weary them,
nor the
nor the
years
years
condemn.
condemn.
The
That's
going
going
down
down
of
of
the
the
sun
sun
in the
in
morning.
the morning.
We will
Well,
remember that.
remember.
Thanks,
Right
everybody.
on, man.